Hello race fans, it's Kane Jr. and welcome to your race recap for round 4 of the VOR iRacing IndyCar series from Michigan. All cars will start with a limited amount of fuel in their tanks. Whenever the pace car goes into the pit lane, traditionally the race does start, but a competition caution will fly. And once that happens, all cars are free to pit as they please and take as much fuel as they want. Also, the restart rule has been abolished. No longer on the restarts will drivers have to leave a 0.3 of a second gap in between them and the cars in front of them. And yes, this does mean technically whenever the race does start on about lap 4, the race will start single file as opposed to double file. Morris, Garcia, Fredrickson, Chauffeur, and Manahar, your starting top 5. The race got off to an incident-free start, clean start for everyone involved. The first overtake of the race happened on the official opening lap of the race. That saw Pablo Chauffeur in P4 taking over P3 from Oscar Fredrickson. On the back straight, he gets the move done, and that's P3 for Pablo Chauffeur. Lap 5 saw the race's first incident of the day, as Ivan Hernandez's run of bad luck from last week continued on over into Michigan, as he just lost the traction exiting turn 2 and scraping the outside barrier on the backstretch, but luckily no one else was collected in the incident. The restart on lap 8 saw nearly half the field get reshuffled around. The first overtake came from Yashish Manahar from P5, going up the inside of Pablo Chauffeur for P4. Then Julian Altino went around the outside of 2 different drivers, working his way up from P7 to P5. And then a little bit further back, we saw Oscar Gonzalez get off to a fantastic restart, first going around the outside of Ivan Hernandez, then getting into the slipstream of Brian Kerrigan, using that momentum to slingshot himself around 2 overtakes in 1 straight and 1 turn. Lap 10 saw an excellent 3-way battle over P7, this time Pablo Chauffeur coming out on top and taking P7 all for himself. Lap 11 saw another overtake by Manahar, this time getting around Oscar Fredrickson for P3. But Manahar did not stop there, as on the back straight heading into turns 3 and 4 he looked on the inside of P2 and then claiming P2 for himself. Lap 12 saw 2 different saves by 2 different drivers on the same part of the racetrack. The first one by Pablo Chauffeur, first almost losing it, exiting turn 2, and then the next one by Oscar Fredrickson, both drivers able to keep the car pointed in the right direction. Lap 13 sees a clean overtake from Daniel McDonald going around the outside of Garcia, promoting himself from P5 to P4. Lap 13 also saw another self-spin, this time coming from Jamie Jackins as he loses traction exiting turn 2, but the race remains green. Lap 16 saw a lead change, this time it is Yashish Manahar going around the outside of Isaac Morris to take his first lead of the day. Unfortunately for Manahar, his time in P1 came to a too short end, as on lap 17 he hits the barrier at a near 220 miles per hour, flipping his racecraft multiple times before it finally comes to a stop at the pit lane entry, ending an excellent run. Lap 18 sparked controversy and definitely caught the steward's attention. As you could see, Daniel McDonald clearly has the lead, but as they're entering pit lane, Isaac Morris goes on the inside and into the pit lane, overtakes McDonald for the lead of the race. They both took 4 tires and fuel. Now it's a race within the race. Who could be the first one out of the pit lane? Can McDonald take his lead back under yellow? As it looks like he's about to exiting pit lane, Isaac Morris speeds up and reclaims P1 from McDonald once again. The lap 20 restart saw things continue to get worse for McDonald as Oscar Gonzalez goes on the inside of McDonald, causing McDonald to fall back another position to P3. Lap 22 saw fantastic battling for the lead as the top 4 cars are side by side. Oscar Gonzalez, all the way from the rear of the field, has worked his way to the top of the field, battling around the outside of Isaac Morris, but for right now, Isaac Morris retains P1. Laps 24 and 25 saw the battling continue for the lead as it's 3 wide heading into turn 1. Oscar Gonzalez going around the outside of Isaac Morris gets the job done for now. As of right now, your top 4 are Oscar Gonzalez, Isaac Morris, Daniel McDonald and Oscar Frederickson. But it was still too early to count out Daniel McDonald for the lead of the race as he looked on the inside of Oscar Gonzalez, unable to get the pass made for position just yet until on the home straight to start lap 25. He looked on the inside, and just whenever it looked like he had the lead, Isaac Morris is there once again to take away P1 from Daniel McDonald. Lap 25 saw another great run, this time come to an end by Oscar Frederickson as he loses it exiting turn 4, causing him to spin into the pit lane and forcing him to take that long drive down the pit road. Lap 27 saw the lead change a few more times as just whenever it looks like McDonald was about to get his P1 back, Isaac Morris splits the middle in between McDonald and Gonzalez and reclaims P1 for himself. Laps 29 and 30 saw two more drivers avoid near disaster. First it was McDonald almost getting a speeding in the pit lane penalty, and then next it was Gomez sending his car through the infield grass. Lap 32 saw Oscar Gonzalez going around the outside of Isaac Morris, this time keeping P1 all for himself. Lap 33 alone saw plenty of action as first it was Ivan Hernandez going around Brian Kerrigan, followed by Manuel Gomez. Later on lap 33, Oscar Frederickson, trying to get his lap back, pushes the car a little bit too hard, sending his vehicle into the outside barrier, ending his race. Riding on board with Garcia, he never saw it coming, focusing all of his attention on the car in front of him, and the next thing he knew, he gets tagged from the left rear, and around he goes. Lap 44 finally saw something go Ivan Hernandez's way as he takes over P6 from Manuel Gomez. Oscar Gonzalez contained the lead of the race up until lap 51 whenever Isaac Morris went on the inside for a clean overtake and another lead change. Oscar Gonzalez didn't allow Isaac Morris to stay in the lead too long before on lap 52 whenever he decided that he wanted P1 back and took it back. Lap 63 saw a nasty accident by Brian Kerrigan as he slaps the wall with force, bringing out another caution. Lap 70 saw another three-way battle for the lead. This time it's Julian Altina getting his way up in the top three. Just whenever it looked like Daniel McDonald was able to take P1, Oscar Gonzalez was always there on the outside line with a slightly better run to reclaim P1 from McDonald. Lap 74 saw Isaac Morris reworking his way back up to the top three. He started out by going around the outside of McDonald, taking away P2, and then working his way into the slipstream of Oscar Gonzalez before on the backstretch heading into turn 3, going on the inside of Oscar Gonzalez and reclaiming P1. Isaac Morris was able to hold on to the lead for another 3 laps, up until lap 77 whenever Oscar Gonzalez went back around the outside to retake P1 from Isaac Morris. Lap 100 of 100 saw Oscar Gonzalez still in the lead, but don't count out Isaac Morris just yet. He's still right behind Oscar Gonzalez, trying to time his move just right. Now with half of a lap to go, Isaac Morris in the slipstream of Oscar Gonzalez, using the slingshot to his advantage, going on the inside of Gonzalez. Now he has the lead, only 2 more turns to go, but Oscar Gonzalez still doing what he did all race long, making the outside line work, and he's going to get a monstrous run on Isaac Morris, and they cross the line at exactly the same time. And this is what iRacing thought. Since they both crossed the line at exactly the same time, Oscar Gonzalez was declared the winner as he led more laps than Isaac Morris. So ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude round 4 of the VOR iRacing IndyCar series from Michigan. Your top 5, Oscar Gonzalez, P2 belongs to Isaac Morris, P3 Julian Altina, Manuel Gomez for P4, and Daniel J. McDonald for P5. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week in Pocono. Ladies and gentlemen, take care.